Hey, good evening, it's Sabine. I just published a new article and I'm going to include the link in the description box if you'd like to read along. And also because I'm not going to cover the entire article, I'm going to give you the highlights, focusing on the celestial signs and the scriptures from tomorrow onward. So, as I was writing and ultimately publishing, I was like, it's not finished. I entitled the article Until Shiloh Comes, which I believe is a beautiful title because I think we're going to see the fulfillment of Genesis 49:10 in the heavens this week. But I was missing a part, and that was the touching of the hearts, because that is what is going to happen this week. The sun is going to touch the heart of the lion, and Venus, the beloved, the bride type like David, is going to touch the heart of Virgo. And at that same time, August 22nd, Jupiter and the moon are going to conjunct. They're going to come together, come face to face again. And this is all about touching hearts, how the Lord touches our heart, how he pours his life, his love, his living water into us, how he fills us to the brim, and then we start bubbling over. So when I added the portion of the touching of the heart, I thought, yes, now it's done. So I'm going to scroll through the celestial signs of last week, of August 18th, and even the ones from today. And I'm going to start with August 20th. Venus at Virgo's heart star and Jupiter as our bright beacon. August 20th, Venus, the David bride type, the beloved, arrives at the heart star of Virgo named Zaniah, or Ada Leonis, the same star that's said to have been occulted by Venus when John wrote the book of Revelation from the Isle of Patmos, looking at modern-day Turkey at the seven churches. So in the linked article over here, you can actually read that this conjunction is quite pivotal prophetically. The name Zaniah is derived from the Arabic al-Zawiya, meaning the corner, which in turn may be indicated in the prophecy of Rabbi Yitzhak Kaduri that the Messiah, and he identified him as Jesus, would be just around the corner. In Hebrew, Zaniah means God hears. The moon passes underneath the wings of Aquila the eagle this day, and that is in the location in the heavens called the celestial golden gate. And remember, when we hear the word eagle, that we will be carried upward upon eagle's wings to then arrive at the cutthroat section in Capricorn's goat portion. That is where the moon is going to head toward next. That is a picture of the coming sacrifice alluded to in enemy signaling, for instance, in the iPad Go prophetic animation, and the predictive programming concerning the lighting of the fiery altar of Hawaii. So Hawaii is an island which is shaped as a head of a lamb or a ram. It has four cones, just like an ancient Jewish altar. In the linked article over here, you can see and read why Hawaii is a sacrificial altar. It's also the center of the Pacific Ring of Fire. The prophetic birthing picture of the New World Order is centered around that place, and also I believe that is the reason why the former president claims to have been born on Hawaii. Jupiter, the king planet, once the Bethlehem star, together with Venus, the conjunction, and the man-child of Revelation 12, Jupiter is at opposition, meaning furthest removed from the sun. It is closest to the earth, and it is going to shine at its brightest today. Jupiter will be shining at its brightest this day, drawing our attention to the Lord's soon coming, and lighting the way as a beacon toward the moon, which is approaching toward Jupiter to conjunct August 22nd. Uranus, representing the Enoch bride type, will start its retrograde or backward motion on the ecliptic in the constellation Aries, the lamb or the ram. And let's take a look at the visuals, and we can see how Venus is going to conjunct with Zaniah, the heart star of Virgo, also known as the corner. And that corner, it has an angle of exactly 144 degrees, resonating with the coming end times harvesters who will be glorified. And that glorification, remember, was noted in the star Zavijava over here, the gloriously beautiful. Mercury and Mars are at the hind legs of Leo, and we can see the sun approaching the scepter or the heart star about to touch the heart of Leo. And this is the star Zaniah in the heart of the Virgin. The exactly 104-degree angle of that corner, and the moon will pass underneath the constellation Aquila the Eagle to then conjunct with Saturn and then toward Jupiter, shining at its brightest August 20th. Jupiter is going to be at opposition, meaning lying opposite the Sun. And Jupiter, while it is underneath the arm of Aquarius, is technically in the constellation Capricorn, in the fish portion. Capricorn is composed of a goat and a fish portion, and that is where Jupiter will be at opposition August 20th. And Uranus entering the retrograde motion. And why is that star, Zaniah, which is a lesser known star, why is that so important in addition to Regulus, the scepter star, or the heart star of Leo, which is a much better known star? So in the article, there's a portion on how Washington's ground plan has been designed for the birth of the US, marked exactly on July 4th, 1776, even to the minute. It was reflecting the heavens above. They were secretly also birthing their New World Order at that time. And the stars, Zaniah and Regulus and Spica in between, played a key role. We're going to see that in the visuals later. So in the paragraphs linked in this article over here and over here, you can read how the ground plan of Washington, which is cross-shaped and named the Kite of Isis, is actually a copy of the shadow casting over Giza, is centered on the two heart stars of both Leo and Virgo. They are emulating the Giza ground plan as well. The image gallery below contains key images from these studies to take a glance at, and the articles themselves reveal in detail how the Washington ground plan's planetary alignment was a mirror of the heavens at the time of the announcement of the birth on July 4th, 1776. It marked it at exactly 4:36, or 4 and 6 times 6. That event on Earth was a direct representation of the heavens above. So there was a message hidden in plain sight, as the Masonic elite did not only seek to birth the nation, but also covertly usher in their new order of the ages, now more often referred to as the New World Order. In the Satanic elite's eyes, Zaniah is known as the harlot of Babylon, and it rises in the east over freedom's perch from the Washington monumental phallus. And we know the harlot nation will receive the first stone of national judgment, and that will kickstart the worldwide time of tribulation. Zaniah also marked the location of Uranus, the Enoch bride type, in the planisphere, the celestial representation of the heavens in Dendera, Egypt. The elite consider the heart star Zaniah to be the gate of heaven, of Babylon. The identity and the role of Regulus will be explained a little bit later in the article. So why do they focus on these two particular stars as celestial anchors of a birthing ritual? An overt birth of the nation and a covert birth, much like Revelation 12 sign overtly birthed Christ, but also the nation of Israel, and in the man-child there is also a hidden picture of the 144,000 Gentiles who will be end times harvesters. So there is an overt revelation and there is a more hidden picture underneath. In the image gallery below, we're going to see how Regulus in Leo and Zania in Virgo formed the two anchors and key star locations marked by the king planet Jupiter, who encircled through the constellation Leo and Virgo, marking the Bethlehem star conjunctions, which announced the birth of the Messiah on 9/11/3 BC. And of course, the elite double stamped that date in the 9/11 attacks on New York, taking down the Twin Towers, representing the two towers, Jesus and the Migdal Tower, referring to Mary Magdalene, as well as our DNA, trying to turn this beautifully and carefully selected day in one of collective trauma bonding, of fear and loss. So this is the representation of what the elite call the kite of Isis, which is actually the shadow cast from Giza over the plain that is the same shape, and the Lincoln Memorial with a wink and an arch to the Lion King is the representation of the heart star of Leo Regulus, and the end of the kite, the tip of the kite, is Zania, the heart star of Virgo. And the touching or the passing, the traversing of the sun and the king star, the scepter star Regulus in Leo, that will take place from August 22nd onward. And the 23rd, the sun will still be underneath Regulus, seen from the angle on the ecliptic. And you can also overlay a human figure on the ground plan of Washington, just like the ground plan of Paris, also a copy of the Giza ground plan. So this was the heavenly representation at the time of the birth of the nation of the US. And this is what I was mentioning, how Zania and Regulus were the key star locations at the time of the celestial events before Jesus was born. So Jupiter was marking with the retrograde motion, both Regulus, the heart star in the constellation Leo, also the handle of the sickle pointing to the starting of the harvest, and then traversing onward on the ecliptic, circling the heart star of Virgo, Zania. So I believe this is the reason why Leo and Virgo, Zania, and Regulus are of key importance, and that's what I tried to mimic in the ground plan of Washington. So this is a rendition of the celestial markers prior to the birth of Christ, and some of them were repeated in the years 2015 to 17. And this is a rendition from Informed Christians. And this is a rendition from Torah calendar on when the birthing of Jesus was announced in the heavens. And that was when Spica, the kernel of wheat, touched the horizon on 9/11/3 BC. This is a similar picture of that same event in the heavens. So if you have some time and you would like to get more detail with regard to that event, you can look at the images, but also click on the articles linked. And this celestial lineup was also marked, of course, in the $1 bill. We can find the depiction of Zania and Leo Regulus in the Dendera chart. And this is what I meant with the shadow casting of the Giza pyramid. So this is what they are emulating in the ground plan of Washington. So this week, starting tomorrow, will be the two critical conjunctions. First of Venus and Zania, the heart star of Virgo, and then of the Sun and the heart star Regulus in Leo. And I'm going to explain in the next video what these conjunctions mean, but also what is hidden in the location of the conjunction of the Moon and Jupiter in the constellation Aquarius, the man with the water jar, because I believe there is a promise of us being led toward the upper room. So I hope I'm going to see you in the next.